Hello there, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, all of whom are loved and welcomed in this space. Welcome to a first episode of a brand new show called The Bad Betches. Love to hear that in a British accent. This is our weekly discussion show for The Bad Batch. I'm your host, Charlie Ashby, and joining me as always are my beloved co-hosts, my own Bad Batch of sorts. We all come from the same place, which is Star Wars, but we're all also kind of messed up. Nicky, Kumar, and Clare Stribling.
Hello. It's nice
everyone.
to see your faces. Look at that.
It's been a while since a video content.
It has been a while. I think the
Yeah.
last time we
Right.
did these were like knee deep in COVID stuff. And here we are now.
Yeah, it's
still knee deep in COVID.
I was about to say, look how not far we've come.
Well, how have you been? How's your week been? Have you been excited? Obviously, the build up to not only the Bad Batch, but May the 4th. May the 4th be with everyone. And I guess it's May the 5th now, but
Revenge of the
Every day is May
5th
the
to
5th.
you all as well.
There we go.
Yeah, it's been good. I am exhausted. But I'm doing really well. Doing really well.
And the good news is the marathon only just started.
That's right. We get to do it all again tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like the blessing and curse of content, where it's like saw 16 episodes. It's like, oh, it's awesome, 16 episodes. And I was like, wait, 16 episodes.
Wait, we're doing this every week in the middle of the night through August.
I was like,
oh
oh.
my god.
Okay, 16
was
episodes.
do you know what? It was definitely one of those things where I was like, okay, 16 episodes, we can get through it, because obviously we have to plan all the Imperial Senate stuff, get this done, get the show done, plan that, get normal episodes out. And then they announced today that Loki's going to be on a Wednesday. And I had to double check. I was like, hang on a second, June the 9th. I was like, are we going to have Bad Batch and Loki at the same time? And as someone who's doing another show for that and also writing reviews, not great. Not great.
Yep.
Hope you enjoyed having free time. It is short-lived.
Well, you know what? What is free time if not joy persevering? Does that work?
Close enough.
Pain?
We'll,
We can roll
we'll
with
say. We'll say
Roll
so.
with it.
Well, there we go. Did you have a good May the 4th, though? Like, what did you do on May the 4th, guys?
Well, I mean, yeah, I actually got a COVID test yesterday, so that was fun.
Hey.
And so
Exciting.
my first one, and I was like, finally I get to live this experience of this era we've lived in. I finally got that. So that was not as bad as I thought it would be. But then, outside of that, it's weird. Like May the 4th, I always feel like I wake up and I'm like, I'm gonna watch every Star Wars movie ever today. And I didn't. Not at all. I watched an episode of the Freemaker Adventures.
There we go.
I mean, still valid.
That was about it. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, you know, it's May the 4th. I think a lot of people have like confused May the 4th with like celebration. It's like, it's not necessarily the announcement day. It's like, just chill out. You can chill. Just enjoy the whole your life of Star Wars. Like, that's what it's about. So that's what I did in abstract. I didn't really sit and watch much, but I took a lot in.
What about you, Claire?
Let's see. So we did over at Kessel Run Transmissions, we did our immediate post Bad Batch reaction, which of course didn't start until 1:30 in the morning when the episode was done for everybody. And I was awake that night until about 6:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning, doing some editing and getting stuff together. So I stayed up till then. I'm like, Good Morning America's coming on. Okay, well. And then I'm like, I have not slept, and this is where I'm at. And then I got about maybe 5 hours of sleep, and then went to the studio and had I was there for about 5 hours at the studio yesterday, and saw some vaccinated Star Wars friends, and then had a beer, which was really a kind of a nice way to end Star Wars Day, minus not getting sleep. Like, that wasn't ideal, but it's all good.
So it's just celebration then.
Exactly.
Exactly.
exactly that vibe. So mini celebration was kind of nice, and new Star Wars television show is even better, man. Like, what did you do, Charlie, other than bad bitching?
Well, yeah. Other than bad bitching, I was like you, very tired. So
Yes.
I think everyone knows that we got screeners of these episodes. Thank you, Disney. And I think we watched it last week. And ever since then, it's just been trying to plan, write reviews. And obviously, I put a lot into the reviews. So it's trying to get those done perfectly. So I was up until about 4 a.m. that morning of just to make sure everything was right and perfect for their release date. Because timing is very strange when you have different time zones in the UK and the US. So I was trying to get those perfectly out. So that was great. Like Nicky said, I think you wake up going, I'm going to watch every film. And I'm not going to stop. It's just, you know what? I might throw a few Clone Wars. You do that, you go, I might throw one or two Clone Wars episodes and a bit of Rebels, like to spice it up. It's like, one, you're not going to do it. What I did do, I will admit, is listen to the Revenge of the Sith soundtrack on repeat. Because that soundtrack, that is a gem.
Yeah.
That's the way to go. Sorry, guys.
Dooku,
Sorry for
what about you, Dooku? What did you do, Dooku?
Well, okay. Well,
Showing us his ass.
there we go. You got to show the people what they want, you know.
See, that's the thing. Like, there are so many shows out there that are covering the Bad Batch, but not many of them have Dooku's butt.
Yes.
On the screen, and that's where we succeed.
Truly. Yeah, no, I'm gonna be honest with you. The only thing that Count Dooku did was he slept on me while we had the Bad Batch on repeat. That's about it. He while Garrett, our producer, was editing some other things, Dooku was in love with him. He was just like staring at him like, I love you.
Bless.
It was great. It was a good time.
Yep.
So he spent time with friends and family for May the 4th.
Well, yeah, there we go. Yeah, it was great to obviously get both episodes, consume them, and obviously we get to talk about the second one on Friday, I think. Oh no, we'll talk about it on Sunday, but we'll get to talk about it on Twitter and stuff on Friday. We get to finally feel the relief of not keeping stuff in and enjoying it alongside everyone else. But we're here to talk about the premiere episode, Aftermath of the Bad Batch. What a way to start this series. I mean, like, I don't know what I expected. I guess when you see the trailer for the show and you know that the time period is post.
I promise I'm listening.
You know what? I get it. No, it's definitely like you go into it, you go, so when will the show take place? And I think the show just did a great job. Oh my God, I love Dooku so much. Bless his heart.
He's just so excited that I'm home. I think that's part of it. I've been away a lot. So he's...
Oh.
I hope you all enjoy Cattail because you're going to get a lot of it today. I'm sorry, Charlie, for Dooku interrupting you so rudely with his butt.
You never have to apologize for Dooku. Any animal wearing a bow tie never needs my apology.
True. And we matched today. We're red, black, and white. I didn't mean to do that. We look good, bro.
Pure mauling it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it. Obviously, if you can see below, if you've got any questions for us, ask and we will answer them. Or if you look at the different subjects we're going to be talking about today and you have something that sparks your imagination, do comment. If you want to show your button screen, we might be able to. No, I'm joking, we won't do that. But we will be able to answer your questions. So this show, what we're going to be doing is taking the show chronologically, I guess, but by topic points. And the first topic point we have is the Clone War ends once again. What a great way to introduce this whole series is the idea that, of course, we saw a lot of people say, this is the Clone Wars Season 8. And it's like, but what if the show told you that isn't the case? And that's what I loved about the opening. It's like, it's the Clone Wars. Then you have the title sequence, burns away. It's like, okay, well, this isn't the Clone Wars. And then you have the introduction of Tom Kane, which... I mean, it was lovely to hear his voice and that nice little...
It made me so happy.
And they straight up redone scenes in animation from Revenge of the Sith.
Yep.
which, I mean, blew me away. The ones they picked were sublime. I don't know if you've seen the both together, like on the images, the GIF of the Clone Wars version and the actual movie, but they're so spot on. Like the accuracy.
Oh, they are amazing. Amazingly accurate. Also, I love that one of the things they chose was Grievous pressing buttons. I love, like, of all the things you could pick from that beginning of Revenge of the Sith, you pick this. You did this.
I was like, Obi-Wan and Anakin on the Invisible Hand. Obviously, it's great. And I love seeing even, like, the battle droids with the blue on them from the beginning of that film. I was like, well, that's really cool. They get to have their upgrade as well to the Clone Wars. I know everyone wanted that. You know, I love those droids. The one I relate to them the most. The ones that are like, excuse me, like they're the peak droid. But the Grievous Time to Abandon Ship GIF in Clone Wars animated form was a gift to my heart, straight from the animators. And you know what? God bless them, because that was great. But yeah, we get into that. We get to obviously again see a bit more of into the Sith blending in with the Clone Wars, and we're introduced to the episode kind of like a Clone Wars episode, which I think is a really clever way, once again, of being like, it's kind of the Clone Wars, but we're gonna introduce it that way to be like, this isn't the Clone Wars. What did you guys think about that opening?
I thought it was amazing because the Clone Wars, obviously the reason that we showed up to watch this is because we loved the Clone Wars animated series, and obviously spin-off of the Clone Wars animated series. But even with the logo, the Clone Wars logo burning into the Bad Batch, it's telling you that things are not what you expected them to be. I really, really enjoyed, like, as soon as the Order 66 scene happened, everything changed, from the music, from the instruments chosen by the Kiners to orchestrate said music, the vibe, the aesthetic switched from, hi, this is Clone Wars, we're in the middle of the Clone Wars, and as soon as Order 66 happens and the Clone Wars ends, so does the aesthetic of it being another season of the Clone Wars. And I thought it was so cool how they did that. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was weird. I have answers, though, for why Freddie Prinze Jr.'s voice was being used for Caleb. And the reason was that he recorded a temp track for a kid to later voice over. That's what he was told. And they did not do that. They just used him. Didn't pitch him up, didn't do anything. He's literally just like, just do it like Kanan, so a kid has something to like go off of. And he was like, wait, I'm in the show. It was basically his reaction.
Fantastic.
Yep.
I feel so bad for him. He's like, why? Why did they do that? So fun fact for you. Not supposed to be like that initially, or at least according to Freddie. And but that whole opening sequence and getting to see Queen Depa Billaba, absolutely heartbreaking, incredible introduction. And of course, little Kanan is going to love the Bad Batch. Of course, he's going to be like, I want to go with those guys. It was just, it felt so good until it felt so bad. And they did a really great job delineating between, this is a new thing now. I loved it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all that. I think when it's like you start the show and it's like you think you're over your Jesse-related trauma, and then you're not. And they're like,
that's
here
what
you go.
you think.
Like, here you go. Let's try this again. If you didn't hate your life last time, let's try this again. So, and yeah, I mean, it's everything about that. It's like, it is, and like, you know, we're gonna get into some of the specific character journeys a little later, but like everything about this time period is tragedy. Like it's sad. And you know, you see even in the Order 66, like actual part of it, like you see the first crack in the team with Crosshair, and you know things aren't right. And it's like, yeah, it's just it was a lot. It was a lot to take in, and it was amazing seeing Caleb. Like that was, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, even beginning of Siege of Mandalore, the Grievous looked amazing, and then you see little Caleb and Depa there, and it's like, oh my god, and now it's like the expansion on that, because now we got moving Grievous punching the buttons, and we got actual Caleb content, and I think it's just so cool about how, like, again, this is why you do things. And I know people did get a little antsy about the way a comic was retconned in pieces, but I think this is what is. There we go.
Exactly, Kyle.
Yep, that is the thing. But yeah, like, I think this is why it's so powerful to be able to use stories, because now you watch the beginning of that episode, Aftermath, and you think about the Lost Commanders, and when Kanan sees the clone, like, what he went through, and that's all been tied together through animation, through these series that are all kind of bounce and intersect at different points. And it's just really powerful, again, even for that character, for how little he showed up, to hear Deppa say run, to see the fear and, like, betrayal he felt from the clones. So it was really powerful in that regard. And then it's like, you want things to feel right. The Bad Batch doesn't get what's going on. Either, like, you really sort of fall into that confusion with them, and it's like it's weird. And again, you're seeing a family fall apart already.
Yeah.
And you see Crosshair, like, what's going on? Because he also can't comprehend what's going on. Hunter's like, I don't know. It's like, let's just chill. He's like, but we got to do the thing. So yeah, it's just, there's a lot right off the bat with this episode. And it was always going to be that way when we were going to get an exploration of Republic to Empire, but I don't think I expected it to hurt quite as much as it still does.
I think Aiden made a really great point. I think we're all in pain with you. Don't worry about that. Yeah. Like, I think you both hit it right on the head. Like, having, because I know people will be like, oh, well, having Kanan in is just like, or Caleb is just a way to be like, oh, look, it's a character, But that's the point. I think we've seen so much of Order 66 that, of course, any Jedi being hurt or affected will affect us. But there's something particular about having a character that we've grown attached to, seeing them, how they react to it, and seeing their story. Because yes, we had seen the story in the comics, and that was slightly different. Again, I don't think that's a major issue. I think if you're really struggling with the concept of these tiny, tiny retcons, because it doesn't change the complete narrative of the comic book.
Yeah.
Apart from small details, like obviously like the color of the clone outfits and it being nighttime, I think, in the comic book, the major story of that comic still stands. Like, that's not a big issue.
Yeah.
But what's important is that the storytelling decision that's behind that is what's pushing this forward. And that's the fact that we know these characters, and we know that when we see their story get attacked by Order 66, it will, one, affect us as an audience, and two, affect the Bad Batch, a group of characters who obviously are, like us, have some sort of connection to the Jedi, especially this young Padawan who they've just been working with, and seeing that weird turnaround, because we're in their confusion, like you said, Nicky. We're like, what's going on? Like, why is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a really great way of having that subplot. As for Freddie Prinze Jr.'s voice, that was a debate that I was not expecting to be having on the internet. Like, I get why people are annoyed that it sounds like an adult, but he's a teenager.
Puberty hits in weird times,
Puberty hits him with
them midi-chlorians, they jumpstart that puberty like a lawnmower, baby. Just vroom, vroom, vroom. Let's go.
I'll say this, look. Go back and watch Chamber of Secrets and listen to Rupert Grint throughout that entire movie. Yep. And then come back and tell me that Kanan's voice is
bloody hell, Harry.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
it's funny, for sure. Like, it's funny too, because like it did personally take me out, because they animated him to look a little bit younger than I was under the impression he was at that time.
Mhm.
And then the voice was so deep. They didn't pitch it or anything like that, which I thought was, it was a weird juxtaposition. Also, like, I'm taking this from like being an aunt and having nephews that are now 15 years old and like watching, we all grow at different speeds, but also like thinking of my nephews and when the I am a man voice started happening and it wasn't like that.
I can just see, I
Oh,
can
go
just
ahead.
see Dave like sitting there in the mixing room and being like, just use Freddy. It's more funny that way. It's almost George, like the way he is mini George. Like it's just so like,
Mhm.
who cares? Just use Freddy. Like it's Kana. Just do it.
Yeah.
I also
And
like the idea of when he told Freddie to do the voice recording, he like just on his end of the panel bumped up like the little dial to get the voice up, and he's like, "Okay, Freddie, you can talk." And he's like, "You are gonna get a kid in, right?" And he's like, "Yeah," but when you hear Freddie saying, "Yes, you are gonna get a kid in, right?" He's like, "Yeah, keep talking."
But the thing is, Freddie acted the bejesus out of that part. His voiceover did break my heart. As jarring as it was, it really did break my heart. And you brought up a really, really good point as well. It's kind of like the experience of going through the original trilogy and going back to the prequels. We saw what happened to Darth Vader. We see the effects of what have happened before. We already know how this story ends. And we've already seen the trauma that Kanan goes through when we meet the clones in the desert on Arrakis, hunting sandworms, I guess. Arrakis, good time. So Pumperdoon. But yeah, I think that it's really interesting that I loved the way that, of course, we care more about it because we've seen how difficult it was for him to face clones again. We've seen that. We've seen that pain. We've seen that get unpacked. And I really like how they used him. I was hoping they would, and I'm glad they did.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that we talked about on Twitter parasocial relationships, and Kanan got through that. He met the coolest dudes ever, and then they turned out to be people who like to murder his master. Just be careful, guys. Be careful on the internet.
Yeah,
because they might turn on you and have secret chips in their brains. You never know.
You never know.
Before we depart the what's it called? The like bounciness of it feeling like the Clone Wars. I just want to say Kiner's Bad Batch theme is such an earworm. Like,
oh, so good.
Thing in my head all the time. And like again, it is just so bouncy and like, triumphant. So it's fit that theme so well. Or of like, this feeling like, oh yeah, we're gonna go beat up some clankers.
Yeah, it's like, I love it so much. Like, again, Kevin Kiner never fails to just create some great beats and jams.
It has it's very much the A Team, but it has like the vibe of like a little bit March of the Resistance bounce to it, and it's just like, it's like triumphant, and it is total pump up jam music right there. Anytime you hear that going, I'm like, all right, Wrecker, let's go, buddy.
Yep.
Come on.
It felt very like Pirates of the Caribbean to me. Like, that sort of like
swashbuckling.
And
very much so, yeah.
And a great introduction to the team themselves again. I feel like it's really a great way of sort of having. And I think there's a lot of this actually throughout the episode. Really great uses of exposition to explain stuff in a way that doesn't really feel forced or like pushed in. Like when Caleb introduces the Bad Batch, it's like, these are the names in case you didn't watch the Clone Wars, the episode they were introduced into. This is what they are. And I think we get like, I think later on Tech sort of details all the stuff that's
what makes them special.
What makes them special.
Yeah.
It's like, by the way, and it's like, I thought that was a really great way of introducing that for people that, didn't watch the Clone Wars. And that's what I think is interesting as well, is that the introduction, even if you don't know who Kanan is, you will see a Padawan, his master, and you'll be like, okay, I get the connection. But I will say one last thing. The scream she lets out, I've rewatched the episode 3 times. I have cried every time that happens. It's so horrifying.
Blood-curdling scream. Excellently performed.
That whole sequence. And I remember, I think I was texting you, Nicky, I was like, Crosshair makes me angry. Like, I'm just going, I'm getting so mad. Like, what a 70 minutes, what a 180 that episode did on me. It slapped me in the face and went, think about what you're saying, sir.
That's me to everybody who texted me. It's like, because, okay, anyone who's heard me talk about Bad Batch long enough has heard Crosshair is my favorite. It's a rough episode, but I got faith. I got faith still. And again, this is the tragedy, it's like literally not his fault. And,
no, it's not.
And it's like, and but you're watching that fall apart, and we can jump into it later, but like it pulls, it pulls everything down, and shows again the tragedy of the clone is like they had lost their free will, and the real villain takes it away from him to an extreme. So yeah, it's a ride though, like to have gone through that. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, let's cut to the training montage, the great sort of great training sequence. Obviously, the Bad Batch go back to Camino. They see that everything's changed already, which I thought was a really great way of showing how fast-paced that the end of the Clone Wars was. Because I think people forget, like, they just assume, oh yeah, the Clone War ends, and then it's like, we have to make the Empire, we have to make pamphlets, we have to make uniforms. And I think, like, one of those ongoing jokes is that, how comes they had these ships and outfits designed at the ready at the end of the Sith? How come the Death Star's already been built? It's like, because this has been planned.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't like...
It's all part of the plan.
Emperor Palpatine was like, oh, okay, great, now we have to rebrand ourselves. We have to keep making new business cards. He'd had the business cards printed. They've been on the desk for about 3 years. This is like the horror of it. Like, he is all the manipulation, and you see how fast-paced it is. Camino is being wiped out. We see Grand Moff Tarkin, obviously at the time he's Admiral Tarkin, appear with the...
Can I also mention...
guard. Yeah, sure.
I think the most chilling part of the episode is the stretcher with the sheet over the body and the lightsaber falling out. That was like, oh my god! Like, is that supposed to be? I don't know, because Shakti's had like so many deaths. I don't know what they consider, but I know she was like there. Oh wait, no, she was in Coruscant. They say yeah,
and I think the hand was green.
Okay,
with a hand that falls out and drops lightsaber. So I don't know.
It could have been.
Makes me sad then.
Oh wait, no, didn't the green one? No, didn't the green one get shot?
Oh, okay.
By Tup.
Which, like, speaking of the order, like the Fives Order 66 arc, we got that in full swing with Nala Se showing up with AZ being cute and doing cute stuff. Medical Bay, man,
we'll
back
talk
home.
About, the Kaminoan stuff is very interesting because it's like, is it redemption or is it business acumen?
Yes.
That's what you have to debate in your mind. It's like, are they trying to be good now, or they're like, God damn it, our product, like, I'm not going to let them waste it.
Losing our biggest client.
I think that was another, like, again, it's like how much this episode has sort of, makes you rethink the way you've seen other things, right? And yeah, like that, the episode of with all the Sifo-Dyas stuff, and it's like, you're like, oh, are the Kaminoans like in on this and like super shady? And then this one, it's like, it sort of tilted that back, and it's like, well, what do they know? Like, what? Yes. Obviously, they're taken aback by a lot of what's happening, and then you see other stuff near the end. But it's really interesting how many things. It's like the things you think you know. Well, what if it's this? And it's really clever at navigating all those.
Yeah, and I really like the way, like you said, like having Camino be this like sort of hub for like the core of the Republic, and now it's like the state of the galaxy. It's all confusion mixed. Like nobody knows exactly what's going on. It's very disheartening to see the clones act the way they do, obviously, and how quick we turn. I remember as well this episode. Like, you got to remember that these clones are very. It's not their fault that they've been turned. We got to be careful. And then later on, we see a Coruscant guard attack the droid again. I was like, no, fuck him.
Yeah.
They can all die. It's fine. I mean, bless it. I mean, yeah, those droids don't. Everyone talks about fires, but those droids are not. They don't have a long lifespan either. Bless their hearts.
Poor babies.
Yeah, so we got to see obviously the Bad Batch. Tarkin has come to Kamino to basically do the Trumpiest move ever.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm afraid the deal was with the Republic, not the Empire.
Oh God.
Yeah, one of my favorite pieces of commentary was when our friend Reed was watching it, and he was like, "I now believe Palpatine changed the Republic to Empire just to get out of contract stipulations."
That's pretty good.
That definitely might be the case. So he's like,
cheapskate, man.
Yes, these ships are great, but we have to cut costs.
Yeah,
He's thinking.
He's like, we're building a Death Star here, okay? Just in case you don't want to go over the deal, I would think about that. And I do love the idea of them cementing the fact that the reason why they're not having the clones is because, obviously, one, it's not proven that they can control them 100% because there are outliers that obviously escaped. But two, it's the idea that they're cheaper.
They're cheaper.
Like, we don't want to pay you guys. You're like the top tier cloning experts. We could get some clones down by we can get it cheap online. And then it cuts to episode 9, and it's like
Wish
Snoke tanks.
Yeah. Are stormtroopers the Wish version of clone troopers? Is that what we're saying?
Snoke is the Wish. They're the Wish clone Kaminoans. They're the ones, the cloaks.
Oh my God.
We don't know what we're doing.
No wonder it took so long to get Snoke, and he was sort of screwed up when he got there.
Yeah,
should have bought the name brand, the Kaminoan version.
He goes online. He goes, update your DNA. Palpatine puts a DNA tube in, and it comes with a picture of a perfectly young Palpatine, and it arrives in the post, and it's Snoke.
Oh my God!
Like, oh God damn it! Put it in the tube.
The great value.
Amazing.
The genetic chain. Not great.
Yeah, and it was great, obviously, to see those Tarkin be such a great villain, and I think that's actually one of the things I really appreciate and love about this new era of Star Wars that's been around since Disney took over, is that they've really cemented the fact that Tarkin is the worst person in the world.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he sucks.
He's one of the best villains in this franchise, and they're not afraid to use him that way.
Yeah, he's like my favorite Star Wars villain. Like I've always felt like that especially with things like the Leia Princess of Alderaan book. Like I think that was like the time it cemented it for me, because I was like, oh my God, this guy. Like he just has that thing, and like there's something. It's like another reason why Tywin Lannister is one of my favorite villains ever, because it's like they're not driven by this mystical dark-sidedness. They're just mean because they are. Like,
yes,
and it's like it's so amazing to have a villain like that, where it's like there's no mystical battle going on. They're just mean because they like the power of ruthlessness, and it's sad to see. It's always sad to see your heroes come up against them because they get hurt.
Yep.
And there's some real analytical like the way they showed Tarkin in this episode. Obviously, he's very smart, so he cuts through people's bullshit and he cuts them off. Like with the Kaminoans, he's like, "No, look, I think you'll find that we can do better than this." But there's a very specific scene that I absolutely adore, and obviously Stephen Stanton is a great Tarkin. I think he does a really great job at making the character his own, not just being a vessel for Peter Cushing. But there's a very great moment that isn't voice acted. It's purely the animators. And it's when they're overviewing, I think it's either the clones of the food fight or like afterwards when he talks to them about the Bad Batch. And he just looks at Omega for a brief second. Like he scans her. Like he just looks down and he's like, that he's like working the gears. He's like, there's something about this kid. There's something off here, and I want to find out.
And it relieved me so much Hi, Dooku. Hi,
What's up?
buddy. It relieved me so much that when they mentioned in the infirmary the 5 altered clones, that he assumed Echo was one of them. That made me happy. I'm like, please tell me you don't know about Omega, because if you touch her, I will murder you. You're a fictional character. I know how you die, and I still don't care. I will hunt you down, Tarkin. I will do it.
He's
Yep.
the most ruthless and conniving character out there, and that's why we love him.
I'm glad you mentioned that, all the like that look, because it just goes to show again how with animation, like the acting is a 2-team job. You know.
Yes, absolutely.
Where, you know, because obviously an actor can control the voice and the motion and stuff, but yeah, when you're in this realm, it's like how much storytelling is done by the people, you know, on the computers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate those like subtle movements with the character. His investment in the Bad Batch was very interesting. I think throughout the episode, he had different points of view regarding them. It definitely felt like he was testing them, obviously, to be like, could we make more of them?
Exactly,
Are they controllable? They're clearly not. This one might be, though. And what can we do with that? And I thought that was really interesting. Obviously, again, points to his evil. The clones to him, the same way that in the first episode of the Clone Wars, Yoda says that the clones are actual people. They got their own decisions, their own lives. Tarkin doesn't see them as that. He sees them as weapons. He sees them as... It could be. They might as well be the droids in his point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. They're just a tool.
Can we casually? We'll talk about that later. But like, can we casually brainwash him?
And that won't change when they're not clones anymore.
Nope.
Right?
Exactly.
Like as they move into, I mean, that's the whole thing we've known for probably as long as we've been keeping up with the Imperial forces. It's like they're expendable. Like they don't put shields on their ships, right?
Nope.
Like it's like they just don't care. So yeah, it's, you know, it's the ruthlessness of that villainy.
And the incredible use of propaganda and brainwashing, even without inhibitor chips, they find a very good way to make the entire culture of everyone's lives being proud about this, of being a part of this system and want to contribute to this system that does so much harm. It's very interesting. Space fascism. Good times.
Yeah,
it's real.
It's real.
It's real, and it starts from the beginning. It starts. It's not like a thing that's slowly introduced. Like we said, it's straight from the beginning. They're straight up saying, "Look, the Empire is good. This is what we strive for. If you want to interfere, you're a separatist. You're one of them. You're outward. You're other, and you need to be dealt with."
Right.
And I thought that was really interesting how they delved into that.
And
the training.
You say all the way at the beginning, like, and we all love the scene at the end of Clones where the Imperial March is blaring and they're all there on the courtyard or whatever, and like, yeah, this was all. It's again, it's the brilliance of Palpatine. Like, you know, it's just, yeah, you see it the whole way through, and it's amazing.
That'd definitely be his perfume name as well. Brilliance by Palpatine.
Yeah, for sure.
Palpatine's must.
Unlimited fragrance.
Unlimited fragrance.
Oh my goodness. I imagine that that any fragrance by Palpatine would have a really high class packaging, but actually just smell like Axe body spray.
Or really smoky, right?
Really smoky, a little bit charred. Yeah.
A little sizzled.
He electrocutes every
Burns
bottle
mahogany.
to make sure it's
Yeah.
Oh my.
Was it Robot Chicken? It was like, you smell bacon?
Oh no.
Bun.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, but the training sequence was really great to see the squad show off their skills, and then we again see the relentlessness of Tarkin by, you know, casually swapping out training blasters with actual live rounds.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think what's great about the show as well is that, and we have this always in Star Wars, is we don't know what happens to them. So they could die. Like, when Wrecker gets shot, he could have died then. We don't know. Like, you know, that's what's great about the tension of the show. And
I was about to throw hands when he switched to live rounds, and the first thing that happens is Wrecker gets shot. I'm like, don't you touch him.
And the mayor, I love the Kaminoan voices. Like the mayor is like the prime minister is like, I don't know about that.
Please don't. They're very expensive.
I can damage my clones in our facility.
I had to refinance my mortgage. Yeah. No, I love that whole scene though. That was great. Just action set piece writing, where it's like, and you get your classic Star Wars, your breezy danger of Star Wars, where they're in trouble and Wrecker's like, oh, I don't like hand signals. He's like, I don't remember that one. So it's like you still get that fun. You get to see all the different reasons of why they work together, and like so whether that's Tech hacking the dude and sitting on him while he's shooting, or Crosshair sniping the knife into the dude's face, like you see why they all shine, and it's great putting that all together.
And it's funny because you bring up a good point. They are so different in how they approach. They all have a different set of skills, obviously, and but when they come together, they're an odd couple. They're always coming together and defeating their enemies in ways that you wouldn't expect. And also, speaking of things that you didn't expect to team up, Wrecker and Tech are my favorite duo ever now. Like, honestly. They are a weird little odd couple. They have such great banter. You think like the super smart guy and the sweet big man baby who's dumb as a pile of rocks. Like they are the ones that have this special little banter and connection. And oh, it made me so happy. And I thought of that because of him being like, I don't remember, like you memorized. He's like, I did. Just the dialogue.
I did remember.
Amazing.
Yeah. Great comedy. Very great Star Wars comedy as well. Like in the thick of action, you need to have that little bit of alleviation from the fact that there's death droids trying to murder you. Yep. I thought that was really great to see the design of the, I guess, Death Troopers. Like they're like the early version of the Death Troopers. They
reminded me a lot of those ones in the Winkathu job in Rebels.
Yes.
The guys like in the ship. It's very much like a predecessor of that, which then feeds further into the Dark Troopers.
Absolutely. Aiden says Scar Squadron was inspired by the Bad Batch. Maybe Tarkin helped in the creation of that squad.
Yeah, Tarkin Initiative. The think tank, right?
These clones are good, but what if we gave some random people lightsabers?
Yep.
Okay, Tarkin, I see where you go.
I see you making moves, bro.
What's your game, sir?
Also, going back to the non-dialogue acting of the characters in the action sequence, like you can tell Crosshair is still annoyed with Hunter, but they still fight for each other. And and you see that with through the body language where he's like, but he still goes and does it. He still calls for the knife. Again, this is all building the conflicted mess that's going to come into play with him being, abused into a weapon of the Empire. It's just they did such a good job at building this piece by piece by piece, and and it just keeps going until it goes down officially.
And what I actually did appreciate as well is because obviously we saw the Bad Batch in the Clone Wars, but it was really great to see Echo as part of that group now, and especially for a group that's been going for like the last few months or so, and like they actually are like a family of sorts.
Transfer student.
And they're so quick to adopt people that don't quite fit in. I love that. I love that about them. They do it with Echo, and we see the aftermath of him being now at home with this pack of weirdos. And now we got Omega. Coming in and coming under their wing. That like instantly wanting to come back for her, even though she like hung out at the lunch table and told him, hey, maybe you should watch out for Tarkin. They're like, nope, one of us. Let's go. I love that.
Do you think, obviously at the end of the Clone Wars arc, when Echo is like, Rex is like, you belong with them. And he's like, I know I do. I need just to salute. Do you think when he first got to Kamino and he smelt the room, he was like, I've made the biggest mistake? Because I can imagine like Rex's room on Camino has got like candles. He's got like a flat screen TV. You know, it's
maybe
he's got all like modern furniture in white, like all white furniture, keeping it classy, keeping it modern, and he's got like smooth space jazz. He's got going in the background, and then he comes here and he's like, "What has happened? I've made a terrible mistake."
I think we can only hope the Techno Union fried his like nasal passages. It's like he's got no hope in there. Yeah, it's nuts to think what he would go is I guess anything's better than being locked into that little tube, right? So
that's true.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I would say he's like, you know what? I'm just thankful that I'm not a giant map telling people stuff. And the really great comedic bit, obviously, with the food fight, which I thought was really sweet as well. And it shows that even though the clones in general are like brainwashed now and like are following these orders against their own will, there's still some personality, at least. There's still some like, you know, like fuck you, no, fuck you, sir. Like the big food fight. Love a good food fight.
Sad batch. Got a new member.
Sad batch. And
you know he worked on
fried.
Yeah. Took him 3 years to get that one out. Yeah, no, that scene was great. And of course Omega is so adorable. And like it's just the cutest thing, her pulling up to the table, like, hey, what's up? And it's just it reminded me very much of like Timmy and Dr. Grant in Jurassic Park, where he's like following him around the car, and he's like, "So I was reading," and like they're just like, "Yo, kid." But then, of course, you know, you learn to love, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Oh, she was so like. We'll get into it. Meg, obviously, we're saving her for later on. Oh well, this is. I mean, come on, Aiden. You can't just throw this out there because now I'm going to cry.
Lula. They're gonna give Omega Lula.
Or she gets. Okay, I'll get into my theory later because I think like she will have a big connection with one of the characters who may surprise you. But yeah, I really did like the fact that we got to see a bit more personality. All the clones are generically like where I guess they're because they're the newer batches on Camino, but all white or all grey and white like we see in the season 6 box art. They're the Camino troops, right? The grey.
Yeah.
And obviously, I guess we get the Coruscant Guard, who, as we know, they're the traditional Harry Potter meme. Why is it always you three when there's trouble? It's always the Coruscant Guard causing shit. Great to see them get involved. So yeah, it was nice to see that sequence, the whole sequence of them like blending in and trying to get. I really love Crosshair trying to eat his meal. He's like, I'm not going to get involved in this bullshit. And then they like fuck up his meal. He's like, oh, do you know what?
He's like, yeah.
He throws the tray. It hits one person, bounces off, and hits another like a boomerang. It's the best.
Yep.
Straight up Captain America shield nonsense there, Crosshair.
Yep.
It's like, but to be fair, like I'm a person who tends to get very, very hangry. So if you messed my stuff up too.
Oh no!
That's what's gonna happen. There you go. You froze a little bit.
Oh no!
You went when someone tries to eat my food. And then you went.
Good.
We were like, oh god, that's awful.
I can't remember who said it in the episode, but again, just the little exposition, great writing. Not again, like you know, like
I think it's Echo.
Like they've been through this a lot. And I think that also feeds into the Crosshair, like, oh god, I'm just gonna try it, and then
ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I get hangry too, though, bro. I get hangry. I would join in if they messed up my lunch.
The classic film trope of the getting knocked out and it cuts to black and then waking up. It reminded me. My immediate thought jump was Back to the Future 2, when it's the easy way or the hard way. Whack, and it cuts to like the easy way. That's all I can think of is that little bit from Back to the Future. I love exploring character arcs and like bits of character without hitting you over the head with it. The fact that Echo wakes up and he's terrified of the droids messing with him is twofold. It's obviously one of because of the chips, but also because of what happened to him on Skekko Minor.
Exactly.
And Omega's so perceptive, her being like, I don't like being hooked up to their machines either, because she knows that that's anxiety inducing for her. Just like she knows that Crosshair needs to follow orders, that there's something in his head that she's like, I know, I understand. She's so good with that. So good.
So Brent Age of Grogu asks, I wonder who will discover that Omega is force sensitive first, Rex or Ahsoka? I'm going to guess Rex will suspect and take them to see Ahsoka in the future, which is a great leads into a question I think we're all having or like debated having, which is, do you think Omega is force sensitive?
Part of me says yes. I go back and forth on this.
Mm-hmm.
I think she probably is to some extent, because we don't really know what her defect, her favorable mutation is. I think it's very possible it could be that, but also like coming from the healthcare perspective, like you have to be very very good at reading the room and reading the people that you are taking care of in the health. You need that level of empathy to read, the anxieties of the person that you're dealing with, because if you're going to treat someone effectively, you need to treat the whole self, and you can't be just like, you can't just be coming in like a wrecking ball with a needle being like, all right, we're going to do this. If this person has clearly has some sort of anxiety, things like that. Like you need to read the room, you need to read the people very well. So I'm not sure if I think that she just has some level of like Ezra's connection and understanding of animals. I wonder if that would be her special force ability, or if that's just something that she's learned as being a medic. So I'm kind of going back and forth on how I feel about it. Except that girl can shoot the first time she picked up a weapon. So maybe.
Yeah. It almost makes you wonder if she has these, her ability is all of their abilities, right? Like, and yeah, I think I haven't really planted a flag on force sensitivity or not. There's obviously something where there's an intangible to her, where it's like you can't, where there's something a little mystical, where you don't know for sure what's going on. Like, is she just super empathetic, or can she really sense what's going on in Crosshair's head? Like, I don't know. And that's all going to get unpacked eventually. So I think it is maybe a tad premature to assume anything of what she has. I'm sure that's going to be unpacked throughout the story. But yeah, I don't really know as far as what her situation is with the force. She's down with the force or not. I think it'd be interesting either way. But yeah, I think that's a sit and wait on it, I think, for now.
Yeah, definitely. Bless you, Claire.
Thank you.
I think my feeling was, like Aiden says, obviously, and like Nicky says, that's not saying that people who think she's force sensitive is wrong, because we're episode 1. Like, the whole point is that it's a story that you have to watch unfold and pick upon and see those elements. For me, I do think it's the fact that Ghostly, with Nala say she works in the medical field and she sees information, she knows certain things about these troopers, and like Order 66, I imagine, is a big topic.
Yes.
Camino that time.
Probably a few questions going around by someone.
So yeah, and she's very inquisitive and empathetic, and I think that's good as well. I like to see that in a character, like the empathy, because I feel like what's great about this time period is that you see it at the end of Revenge of the Sith. The whole point about this time period is that there's 2 main themes going around. There is tragedy, which we see with Crosshair, and there is hope. And I think that's what Omega's there for. She's the inspiring part of the show, where she's showing us hope. She's showing us empathy. She's showing us that there can be light in the galaxy, even at a time where things are very, very dark. Speaking of things that are dark, though, the Empire, the new Empire, we see it obviously formed. We have that really great sequence with the mandatory meeting where we see the Palpatine videotape which is just straight dialogue from Revenge of the Sith, which I thought was amazing. What did you think about seeing all the new Imperial stuff and how quickly, people, back in the Empire?
Yeah, it's weird, and I'm sure there's all sorts of I mean, first of all, we see it in Revenge of the Sith with the Senate, right? And it's just an extension of that, and how that, again, like Claire said earlier, like the magic of propaganda, right? And and it's it's sad. Again, it's like the word tragedy is going to be said a lot, because that's what it is. And it's people who are already they're already soldiers, they're already hyped up, ready for, they're already on one side, and then you tweak it a little bit, and it's probably, to them, it doesn't look that different, right? And it's like, oh, okay, I guess we're an empire now. And like, there's all sorts of examples you can pull from like Roman history and blah blah blah, and that transition of republic to empire, and it's what makes this show so good, because we're getting to see that, but also our point of like, our like center point is the group of people who see past it all, or at least don't understand it. So it's jarring to both like see it from the the regs, but it's also like understandable, because it's probably not that weird for them, which is, again, part of the sad thing about it.
Yeah, that Senate meeting, obviously we know that in continuity that meeting was for the senators, and we get to see the troops watching it. Do you think that was shown all around the galaxy, or do you think?
I think so. Yeah, live stream, baby.
I think so. It's because if you think about it, like, if the general population is under the impression the Jedi tried to overthrow my government, the Jedi tried to kill and tried to take over the Emperor and like take over the Senate, like this military group has come in and tried to overthrow our government. That's information that people need to know. And second of all, they need to know that they can be proud of the establishment that is put in place to protect them, because they succeeded. They got rid of the Jedi. It is a very, very good propaganda tool, because now they can feel pride in the sense of this scary, like completely life and government altering coup attempt was squashed so quickly by this empire. Then I'm Team Empire, because they're going to protect me. It's very much showing that to everybody, and seeing how the attack on my life has left me scarred. They'd be like, wow, that is a seriously dangerous threat. I'm glad he's out with his life. Team Palps. It's a very good manipulative tool.
Yeah. And you see that throughout the Clone Wars show proper too, right? Like, remember anytime the peace negotiations where like Padme was going to make those happen, and then bam, Senate is under attack, it jeers them all up, and then those go away, right? Like, it's that manipulation of emotion and fear and all that, and it's all cooked in, and it's a mess.
Because what I found really interesting about the Empire and the propaganda side of things is that later on in the Empire, like around episode 6, I guess, it's like you see those images of Palpatine as himself, like without the scarring. Yep. So is that just to like trick people, or do you think that over time he was like, I got better, or do you think it's just like, look at what I used to be? Like, I found it really interesting. I will say the camera droid that shot upwards to, I guess, to like show off the scarring, but not the most flattering angle.
Yeah, always from above, right? Like,
exactly.
These are the rules.
Has left me scarred.
The tempt of my double chins has left me scarred.
I just also like the idea of Palpatine being like, we go live on Twitch and YouTube, and and everybody tune in at 8 p.m. Standard Coruscant time.
And maybe I will drop the StreamYard link in the chat.
Put your questions in the comment section. You will be ignored.
Don't forget to join our Patreon. We need to pay the Kaminoans.
I have a Discord.
Discord.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's
god.
just him. It's just him, and what's his name?
Masamida.
Masamida.
Yeah.
It's just Masamida. He's the moderator.
Yeah. The ultimate
Order.
influencer.
Mods are
Beautiful.
asleep. Share our rebel propaganda.
Yeah, but speaking of Palpatine, Bob asks, do you think there will be any major character cameos in the Bad Batch? Which ties in, I think, to obviously this section as well, which is we see the New Orders being sent off to go off and kill the Separatists, who turn out to be, surprise, surprise, the very people that they saved not long ago. It's the Republic forces led by Saw Gerrera.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool to see Saw Gerrera back. I thought the way the original actor who played the character blended some of that in with the Forrest Whitaker interpretation was very well done. I thought the laugh was great. Like, he got the laugh spot on, which is funny because he came up with the character first, I guess, and then
Right.
the blending of it all.
Yeah.
Really great to see them. What did you guys think about the whole arc of them seeing? Because I guess there's one thing seeing the Jedi be killed and being like, well, I don't agree with it, but maybe they did try and take over, so we'll have to go with that. And then straight up seeing the fact that Tarkin has sent them to kill civilians.
Yeah, I've always loved Saw's story. Even before Rogue One, like just that little arc of Clone Wars episodes, I automatically just was really interested in that story of what we knew would happen between supporting, and we see it through history, right? It supporting one cell of freedom fighters and then having them turn or U-turn rather, and then they become the enemy. But yeah, I've always loved that, and then we've seen this journey for him where we went from Clone Wars to Rogue One, and now we're sort of filling in all these little pieces. And like this for me was a really cool piece to have filled in, because we talk about watching the transition from Republic to Empire happen for the clones. Now we're seeing a little bit of the wider galaxy, even a freedom fighter, blah blah blah. It's just cool to see someone like Saw recognize what's happening in this moment, and then you get the whole ethos of what's so relevant to a lot of these guys, and the what are you fighting for, the blah blah. You get his sort of monologue about that, and so yeah, I thought this was a really great, sort of also touching on Bob's question, like when you're going to use major characters, like it has to mean something, and I think using Saw here really meant something.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what's really interesting as well is his character development. Like, obviously at this stage, he's still not completely the character we see in, say, Rebels. He's not been through all that pain, and he's been through battles, obviously. Like, he's got scars, but he's still got that sort of empathetic level to him. And that's not that goes away, because we see that when he saves Jyn. But I thought it was really interesting that he's like, no, the clones helped us, so we're going to give them the opportunity to make their own decision. And if they turn against us, then we have no choice. But I'm giving you that choice right now. Which I think, again, like you say, if you go back to Rebels and watch the episodes where Rex talking to Saw Gerrera, now I won't be like, well, what did he think about Order 66? Because he saw the Bad Batch and he saw these other clones, I'm assuming, at some point. Go through that and offer them that same decision. He made that same choice. Maybe he said to Rex, like, what are you going to do? And Rex was like, I'm going to hunt worms. Speaking of cameos, Anakin Skywalker's in the chair to say
Hi, Anakin. Nice to see you. May the Force be
you
with
are
you.
the chosen one.
Anakin Skywalker. On Revenge of the Fifth, we have Anakin Skywalker in the live chat. Oh my god!
And we do have a good question from our friend from Australia.
Hi, Turbo.
You're definitely 100%.
100%.
1,000%. We've got proof of it as well. We'll be showing that on our Patreon. The attempt of my life has left me sexy.
Throws the robe off. It's like you saw that behind the scenes footage of the hut wall from Last Jedi that Ryan Johnson posted. That would same effect, but on Palpatine's robe, just like
Oh my god.
disintegrating off, and he's just standing there, like radiating.
He's like, it's that scene in Revenge of the Sith where he sits in the chair and he goes, "Every single person, including our friend Obi-Wan Kenobi, is now a potential customer."
10 credits a month.
Tell them to hit me up. I'd love to see Palpatine's OnlyFans.
I'm sure that I'm sure there's some fan art out there somewhere.
He's like, hanging out with my cloning vats.
Yeah.
Had a kid, lol.
Lol. Goodness.
I thought it was really great to see that. Obviously, you get a bit more expansion into what Order 66 is, as opposed to, obviously, it's not like kill the Jedi and then you're like, done. That's it. Like it's more than that. It's the constant, it's brainwashing. It's telling you what to do, and I think it's really great. You said seeing Crosshair's reaction to because he's struggling. He's like, this is an order. I have to do it, but also I never took orders before, so it's like you can see that.
Yeah. It's like the weakness, like the chip being weak, right? Is like allowing for that, like that struggle, and like even back when back closer to the beginning when they're leaving Collar, it was like he's like, why didn't you kill that kid? Like he just doesn't get it, and like now it's the same with Saw. He's like, tell me to take the shot. Tell me to take the shot. And he's like, I'm here.
I'm aiming at the old lady.
Yeah.
It's like, this old lady is very dangerous.
Yeah.
That's the first target I got to take out.
She's like and it'll turn out she's like the most dangerous bounty hunter in the High Republic.
Yeah. She trained Fennec Shand.
Oh my god. That'd be awesome. Let's talk about the major aspects of this first episode, of course, which is Omega and Crosshair's journey. What did you think about Omega? I love her.
I want her to say her
Amazing.
name 800 times. I love her. She's so cute.
And while she's at it, everybody else's name too.
Yes.
Yes.
Tick.
Echo.
Echo. Heavy.
Yeah.
Hunter. Crosshair. Yeah, it's the best.
Yes.
She rocks.
I love D. Bradley Baker as an actor, but the disparity between his clones and an actual New Zealander voicing a character was funny. I was like, this is funny. This is like, it threw me out for like a second, and I was like, it's a story. Like, come on, like I get it, but it was funny. I was like, especially because it's when you meet a New Zealander, they're so New Zealand. Like it's so ingrained. Like it's just great. And I just having Michelle Ang play the character was really great. I really love her voice. I thought it was great for the character. We talked about the animation, and I love how we've come from season 1 where Anakin's hair couldn't move to there's a scene where I think it might be the first sequence that Omega's in, where she smiles. And the smile animatic, like the grin was so amazing. Like it was like I was like, oh my god, immediately 1 episode in, Omega is one of my favorite characters. Like it jumped up there. I just love these empathetic, really smart, really funny, like cute little characters, and I thought it was really great to introduce them. Someone made a really great point I didn't even really think about, which is that she sort of takes up the Ahsoka spot in terms of a younger girl who is inquisitive and asks questions and is like learning new things about the galaxy, which I really like. I was like, oh yeah, I never really sort of thought about it that way, because obviously the Bad Batch won't land on Tatooine and go, wow, Tatooine, like it's going to be you need that younger spark to be there and sort of add to that.
And it's a great way to like inform the world, and also, I mean, it challenges the characters you already know, right? Like,
yes,
it's her, like they will have to explain stuff to her, which in turn will make them re-explain it to themselves and be like, wait, does that track? Like, so like that's what's so like good about those relationships. Like it's what was great about Ahsoka. It was, the why are we doing it this way? It's like, because we're doing it this way, and because I said so. And so it's always great to have that kind of balance, and it's such a it's even more exciting when it's someone as just lovable as Omega, because you just want to have every question she has answered.
Dylan asks, do you think Mega's force sensitive? Kind of answered that, but would it feel like a cop out? Maybe like Marvel's Taskmaster, which I would love. Like, yeah, the idea that she can mimic behavior without even really knowing. Like, especially like the blaster. It's like, oh yeah, I've never shot a blaster before. I think it's either a mixture of either Taskmaster with a bit of Crosshair is obviously like Bullseye. Like we can just get ridiculous shots bouncing off stuff, which I love. But yeah, Omega I thought was a really great character. I thought the way they introduced the element of her obviously being a clone, which I don't want to brag to Twitter, but I called it. I called it very early on. So to all the other people that were like, well, we don't know if it's a New Zealand accent. First of all, yes, we do. 2, of course, it's not Palpatine's clone. Get out of it. Get out of it. Like, I just love a female Jango duplicate. I thought it was a really cool idea and a really great way to sort of expand those characters. And like you said, that it gives something for the Bad Batch to bounce off.
Mm-hmm.
But and to grow with.
Yeah.
Throughout this, like there's a lot of change going on in the galaxy, and there's a lot of change that they need to personally undergo in order to fit in this new galaxy. I think Omega is going to be a really, really interesting vessel for emotional character development for all of these men who their entire life, I mean, look at Wrecker scraping successful mission tally marks into the wall. That's all they've ever known. That's all they've ever known. They've never known a galaxy without that. And obviously they're going to be on the run for a little bit. But I think that having a character like Omega help them transition into the next chapter in this galaxy, I think that that's a really, really cool way to do it, because I mean, literally they run into her in the hallway on first meeting her and Wrecker's like, what is that? Like a living human child is what that is. Yeah. And it's funny to watch. We've in this one, I was about to say short episode. It was not a short episode. It was a great, long, beautiful, meaty episode. But just already seeing how Omega has affected, has helped other characters in the Bad Batch to grow already in this short time we've spent with her has been super interesting. Super interesting. I love her. She's perfect. Nobody's allowed to hurt her ever.
And if they try, I will hurt them.
Exactly. We will hunt you down. We will find Hunter and he'll track you down. Like,
I mean, you can hire Hunter all you want. I'm getting Crosshair.
I don't think you would need to hire Hunter. He's just on it.
Yeah,
like,
he would be
it's very clear already that the core relationship is between them. Like the Hunter and Omega, I think are the pairing that you're going to see the most out of, and it's things we'll definitely talk more about on Sunday when we can talk about that second episode. But like you can I think it's pretty clear, like. And his intuitiveness throughout the episode and I can't remember the exact line, but he's like, I did what I thought was right. Like I didn't follow the order. And so I think like a lot of Hunter's like morality and humanity will be, central to it all. And that relationship with Omega will be huge.
Well, let's talk about Crosshair, who I think is the most intriguing character from this series. First of all, I want to shout out to Nicky in the chat, obviously here, who sent the best meme the other day, which was the Nike. It was a black and white picture of Crosshair that says "fuck them kids."
Oh no!
Oh man! Yeah.
Which fantastic stuff. Yeah, I sent a message to Nicky in the beginning of the episode, like, I hate Crosshair. And then by the end of it, I was like, I'm so sorry. I will do anything to help him because he's a poor baby.
Yeah, I got a few of those messages throughout the day, and I was like, oh, so you haven't finished it yet.
We got it partway through.
Yeah, because it's frustrating, and like again, like as a very intense Crosshair fan, like I was watching that, like, oh no, like when he's like. When Kanan's like around the tree and he like pulls out the pistol and he's like, and like, dude, like, please chill. Like, yeah, it's like, it's a lot. And like, it's a huge, I think like the emotion of, just knowing somebody has like no control over what they're doing. And like, and one of my favorite parallels about this that I've been thinking about is it's like, it's funny to me how similar what we know about Crosshair now is to Hawkeye in the Avengers 2012 movie, where it's like this idea of being, and let alone the hyper accurate like marksman aspect of them both, but like there's this idea of these guys who were turned against their will to work against their former team, and like I don't know how that's gonna pan out, but I think the fact that they've done. They didn't just make Crosshair like betray them. Like he didn't just get a better offer. Like the fact that there is this lack of free will, this forcing upon him aspect to it, I think leaves the door open to like them being like, okay, well, let's try to get him back. And so I think that's really interesting, and I do hope that's the way, because of course I love the character and I want to see him come good. But in the meantime, I do want to say I will enjoy Imperial Crosshair because he looks sick. Like that, that slick black. Like this is my new getup. It's pretty cool, and so I'm gonna enjoy that in the meantime. But I am very glad that they did this nuanced sort of approach to the character, as opposed to just well he was mad so he left him and he got a better offer from Tarkin and blah blah, you can be in charge of your own squad, how about that? It's like, how about we mess with the leadership aspect through this more interesting, very clone specific storytelling method. So yeah, I'm just glad they did what they did with him. It's very exciting. I think a lot of people may have read like a leaked toy box and got some impressions on what his story was going to be. And it's very much not the case.
Yeah, I agree. The thing that I found super interesting about Crosshair's journey in this, it's so like you wanna hate him so bad, but at the end of the day, like you also just want to grab him by the face and be like, it's not your fault. Like Omega tried to do. It's not your fault. I understand it's not your fault. You're fighting it. I can see you fighting it. And that's just I think that's one thing. It's going to be a recurring theme through this season and more seasons if we get them, is just this continued tragic thing where people are brainwashed into doing bad and then living with the consequences of those actions that they had no control over. It's going to be, and I think that in this series, I know that Bob had asked earlier about cameos. I think that we're going to see a lot of clones, and I think that we're going to relive a lot of Order 66 experiences through those clones. So I think could be a good vessel for those cameos. But that's the one thing that, man, you want to slap him, but you also want to tell him you're okay. You're going to be okay, man. And I think we're going to see that same parallel journey repeated throughout this series of just living with the guilt and the grief of a situation outside of their control. It's so sad. It's so sad.
I mean,
sorry, Nicky, you go.
Oh yeah, just really quickly. Like it's funny how like we'll sit here and we'll talk for over an hour to who knows. Like, well, we could like if we didn't have constraints, we could sit here and talk for like hours on end about this stuff. But like at the same time, audiences are so simple, right? Like it's so simple to code an audience against a character, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
like we see what Crosshair's doing, and it makes us mad because because the simple emotions of character and story and like it's so good how they play with that, and they make you want it, and then they're like, oh, he's such a douche, and that's the funny thing too. Like they picked the perfect character because he is the most abrasive one. Like even outside of messing with his chip.
He looks, moves, and sounds like a snake. Like literally.
Yeah, and he's the one who would insult you if you got the chance. So like that they picked a great character for it. And so it's just cool how they play with expectation and all that, and they make just a really like a whole experience out of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like with Crosshair, I think, like you both mentioned, that's the best part of storytelling. Like a good story makes you go, I don't like this character. Wait a minute, there's something about that. Oh, I do like this character. What they're doing is bad, but I can see why. Like, that's great storytelling. I think for me, what's really interesting is that you mentioned, Nicky, that you thought, I thought it was really interesting that you thought it was like Hawkeye, and I never really thought about that because like you're spot on, like the mind control, the guilt of like going against your team. For me, I've now put that in my head as well. Like I added that to my head. I was also thinking of Bucky Barnes, and a very astute warrior who's gone out. He's gone to war. He's like sacrificed himself for the greater good, being turned into this weapon against his own will, and being used as a weapon for nefarious goods. And I was like, you know what? It's really interesting because I was like, will we see a redemption for the character? I really do hope so. But then I was like, but is it bad to have a redemption for that character? But I feel what's interesting is that we might see a bit more, like Claire said, of like different clones, and I wouldn't be surprised if Crosshair picks his team of like elite troopers, and then maybe some of those troopers or some that we've already met. I think it might be really interesting if maybe like Wolf is part of those troopers, because then maybe at this moment in time I can expect characters like the Bad Batch to be like, well, he's long gone. He's made his choice. Like, yes, the chip's there, but what can we do? When they meet up with Rex, though, he's gonna be like, no, we can help them. Like, he saw what happens when people like Jesse crash, and there's no way to save them because of obviously like the odds were against them. But if there's an opportunity to go out and save them, and then we see like Wolf's reaction, like maybe if his like elite soldier like turns like that, it would be very interesting on that end. Like I thought it would be really great.
Yeah. I think part of what, as far as like redemption goes, like they could save him as far as like the chip goes, but we don't know what his choices will be. But I think like the point is, right now he doesn't have a choice. So I think anything could happen, but I do hope that at least part of this narrative is them trying to help him. Because I think they want to. Like, obviously, I mean, the clones have a bond amongst each other that is so unique and close. So yeah, I hope that's part of it, and then it's sort of like it's on Crosshair, and of course, I, as a fan of the character, want him to make the right choice. But like it's there. It's there waiting to happen, and I think the idea of, I mean, we know Rex is in it. We know what Rex knows. I think this is going to be the catalyst for a lot when it comes to like, well, how did Gregor show up? How did Wolf show up? So yeah, I hope that's all the case for sure.
Definitely, Clone Watch says about Commander Cody. I think that'd be a great character to delve into, because he's actually a character that, I think there was a tweet yesterday. It was like, name a character that people will be surprised that you love. Mine's Commander Cody. Like I adored Commander Cody when it came out. I rag on him a lot because of what happened to Boga. R.I.P.
Yeah,
Never forget.
That's a big deal.
Show me the body.
Heart.
Show me the body.
I mean, look, if they did that, wouldn't it be great if he has he's like attacking people?
Commander Cody shows up with Boga. Oh my
Yep.
god.
Boga's wearing the armor with the green visor.
And Cody already knows the Bad Batch. He's worked with them on several occasions. We find out in the season 7 arc.
He might know them the best.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Kind of sounds
I wouldn't
like
be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like one of the people, because I think we saw in the trailer a bunch of those troopers with the weird armor. So I would be surprised if maybe Crosshair's like, I'm gonna pick the best and the best, and like it's just like a montage of like him with his little toothpick going around the galaxy, picking a squad together. It's the Ocean's 11 of Star Wars, and it's like Cody's like, son of a bitch, I'm in.
I think it'd be really cool to see like sell out Cody, and where he's like in full Imperial officer uniform kind of stuff, and it'd be cool even if like Crosshair's in charge of the squad, like Cody might be their like handler or whatever.
Like the liaison,
yeah. That'd be really cool and just a great perspective again to see and change. That's the other thing I'm gonna say. I hope when we see Crosshair, it's not always in the perspective of like attacking the batch. Like I would love if it's like almost like first person, like you're focused on him with the Empire around him.
Yeah, like the cool scenes where it cuts in Empire to Vader looking for the rebels.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be awesome, yeah. Well, we're going to wrap up fairly soon. So if you want to get your questions in, please do send them. If you're watching on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube, just throw them out. We'll answer them as many as we can. Bob says, how many of the Bad Batch will survive, if any? Interesting question. I think we might lose one by the end of the season.
Yeah, I don't think we'll go much further than that because for the risk of, or for the potential of a season 2, I don't think I wasn't marketed, I don't believe, as a limited series, which gives me the impression that there's room for more. I think that most of the Bad Batch will make it out.
I think Jordan Mason on Twitter was like, the idea is that there might be more. So, and I would imagine so. It's the Bad Batch. People are going to be looking at it. It's good. Good stuff. So
I don't want to think about it. that's my thing. I don't want to think about losing any of them.
Does Lula count?
Don't even start.
I mean, I'm
not allowed to lose Lula.
I love Lula, but if we're gonna I don't want to lose a human.
Yeah, I also want to agree really quickly with Clone Watch. I think this was also my favorite series premiere of an animated show. Mm-hmm. It was very good in how they did it.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think it definitely knew what it was straight from the beginning. Mm-hmm. I think it's the most well structured.
Yeah, and that's not even like, not even a knock on anything else. It's just like that is the process, right? You make and you learn, and of course, your third shot's gonna be the best of the lot, right? So yeah.
Yeah, of course. Feel free to give us any questions before we wrap up. I do want to. Where are we? Before we give our overall thoughts and score, I do want to talk about the criticisms that came out this week about like the whitewashing of not just the Bad Batch but also some other characters. I know that some people were upset about Depa Balaba, Saw Gerrera. What do you guys feel about that situation?
Who do you?
Oh, do you want me to go first?
I don't know. Just whichever you feel.
Okay. I mean, I do see it. I personally this is a thing that we've talked about on the show for years, like the whole voice of it all. Like, would I have preferred Tamora Morrison way back in 2008 get asked to do the Clone Wars? Yes, because it's Tamora Morrison. Like, if you said to me, "Do you want Tamora Morrison?" I'd cut you off and go, "You don't need to complete the sentence."
What are you asking?
The answer is yes. Do you want Tamora Morrison to beat me up? Yes, I do. Quite frankly. So yeah, I think I get it. I get why people are angry, and I think that they can do better. Kanan, I think, is interesting because I think Pablo Hidalgo mentioned before that the Ghost Crew were coded as non-white characters, and the character definitely seemed very white-skinned. Like he looked like you'd see him at a Walmart. It's like, it's like, am I phrasing that?
There goes the Walmart sponsorship.
Oh no!
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, like, and I think the idea is that the process can get better. I know that I think obviously the Bad Batch themselves have been around for years. So some of the things I think is lighting, like with the Saw Gerrera, that's a really interesting one because I know people are like, well, in Rogue One, but the difficulty of that was obviously the character was designed in the Clone Wars to be like lighter skinned than he is.
The tones are off between those in the first place. So yeah. I think like for me in general, I think the key is to be informed about it.
Yes.
I think like I read there's a very popular like thing being shared now, sort of breaking it all down on Twitter, and I read it and I was like, I maybe don't agree fully with some of the conclusions on some of the things. I do with some of the others, and like that you take it from there. I think that, but the idea of like ignoring it, of like head in the sand on it, I think that's not what you want to do. So I think just be informed. For the most part, I guess you're probably, if you're watching this, you're probably a like free thinking adult. You can make your own conclusions about things. I think that's important. But yeah, it's just it's about being informed, about hearing the right people talk about the issues, and I don't have answers for why anything exists the way it does. We know the abuses that happen in media when it comes to representation. Like we know that is factual. As far as why things are the way they are in this particular show, like who knows? Who really knows? So I think it's just about knowing what's going on for me right now, and I'm sure somebody is making someone aware of things, because it gets enough traction. It's a talking point to somebody. So the not hiding your head in the sand applies to the creatives and the executives as well, right? Like that's what it's about. So that's my take on all that. So
yeah, I'm in agreement there. I think that there are some things that I understand more than others, more some criticisms. I would say though, the biggest thing that I personally have an issue with is this is not the first show, and this is not the first time that these same issues have been brought up in other animation projects and in other things. And I would have liked to see from, I get it. We're still like, as long as people are listening and paying attention and genuinely listening to the issues that people have, because I feel like a lot of these things, a lot of these criticisms, this is not the first time that they're coming up. Repeat offenses are less forgivable in my book. At some point we got to learn. I just hope someone's listening.
Yeah, I mean that's what's weird, because it's like there's no way at all that somebody is making a show like this and is like, I want someone to feel offended when they watch this.
Right.
Like there's literally zero chance of that. Like nope, there's not somebody in lighting at Lucasfilm like, oh yeah, this is gonna piss someone off. Like no way. So yeah, I don't know what it is. Don't know where the disconnect is. I know there's also you could get as as conspiratorial as you want with there could be some big wig at Disney saying, oh well, this is what people need to look like. Like it could be anything, right? Like
a lot of things.
So yeah, it's a messy business. It's not always clear. It's not always cut and dry. So yeah, I think just that's the thing right now as fans, is like just listen, just listen to people and hear out what the issues are.
Yep, 100%.
And I think we speak like in private and about these issues as well. And I think what's really interesting is, I mean, quite frankly, I'm white. In case you didn't know,
I'm white.
I want to tell you guys, I'm white.
I got a confession.
I want to come out as white. No, yeah, like, you know, as a white British man, straight white British man, you can probably tell that you've won the award.
You got hair. It's for bonus.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, you know, like I'm not here to be like, I'm going to tell you how to feel about this.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes we can fail at those things, and sometimes we can speak over people or like put our voices where they're not meant to be heard. And that's what's interesting is like talking about criticisms about an episode does not equate to saying that it's bad, or as in like now therefore I hate this, because people aren't bringing stuff up because they hate Star Wars. People want to love all of Star Wars. That's the point of, you know, being a fan of stuff. And you can have criticisms, and people can be very vocal about those criticisms online. Doesn't mean they hate the show. There are people that I'm deeply friends with, and also, I mean, we talk about it, who have issues with major parts of the stuff, like the whitewashing. And I think the card you mentioned, Nicky, that's going around, we'll put it in the description for people that haven't seen it, because it is a really good descriptor, and it's there for you to take whatever you want out of it. It's the idea that they don't equate. You don't have to say, oh, well, you don't like this, so therefore you don't like the show, because that's not true. Because we have criticisms in the media all the time. Like, we don't agree on everything, but
yeah, this is entirely separate of the storytelling of the you know, even the actors themselves, but the process of the acting, like, it's independent of that. And like, yeah, it's, you know, a lot of things can exist in your head at the same time. This could have been the best episode of animation ever, and also, you know, we got some things that should be brought attention to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'll say the final word on the not the discussion in general, because we probably will talk about it down the line. But it's important to use your. I hate saying power, because it's not power. We're fucking people talking about Star Wars on the internet. It's important to use your position if you have people watching your stream or show or whatever to talk about these things, but also be wary that if you're a white British straight dude like me, listen to people of color and you know, respect those views, and maybe amplify those views more than your own.
Yes. It's more important to listen sometimes than to speak. Just let people speak that you know, that it affects, I think is
yeah. So we'll see how it all unfolds, but yeah, at least the story's good. We got that at least.
It was real good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So speaking of the story, overall, what were your thoughts on episode 1 of The Bad Batch? Claire, you go first.
I think I agree. This is probably the best series premiere of any animated show in Star Wars. It's instantly everything I didn't know I wanted this show to be. It really is. And, you know, one of my favorite things to watch is the character journeys of it all. And we've already gone through it with so many of them, and it's set up the story to be something so fascinating and so interesting, and the dynamic between everybody, it's going to be really, really fun to watch it grow. We've got some really good-hearted people facing some really scary, insurmountable, seemingly odds right now, and they set it up to be a very, very interesting story that will make me cry, filled with conflict and brotherhood and found family and struggle and adapting to change and just surviving these odds that are completely stacked against you. I'm very, very excited. They set it up to be a very, very, very cool ride. So I'm really excited about it. Heck yeah. I did not want this to be the spinoff. Like if I had to pick what my first Clone Wars television spinoff would it have been The Bad Batch? Absolutely not. But now that we've gotten the pilot, we are in good freaking hands right now.
And what score would you give it out of 10?
I would give it a 9 out of 10. I thought it was a truly, truly, truly excellent pilot. Excellent. Top notch.
Perfect. We need to have it because we had out of Beskar on the last one.
Oh, yeah.
What would this one be?
Lulas.
How many Lulas?
Yeah,
We'll do 9 out of 10 Lulas.
9 out of 10 Lulas. Yeah, I mean, I love The Bad Batch. I think I always feel very fortunate to have been able to watch the animatic premiere at Celebration in 2015 when they put it on the big I think it was the Galaxy stage or digital stage, whatever it was called back then. And Filoni was there, and a bunch of people in costumes were there. It was and because the Clone Wars was gone at that point, that sort of felt like the time to really celebrate the Clone Wars. So it had a lot of that energy as well. So I've loved the character since then. It's been just such a wild journey to have watched that, been wow, that was great. It sucks that's all we're getting. And then to see that be fully animated in season 7 and now where we are. And so yeah, it's really exciting to be able to do this with them at the center of it. I thought the episode was, again, like we just talked about, it had the emotions, it had the action. I thought it was paced really well. There's plenty to dig into, plenty to think about, plenty of characters. I find it pretty hard to fault the episode itself. So while it feels not right to give 10 out of 10 Lulas just yet, I'm gonna go 9.5. We're getting half a Lula in there. So,
oh my god, we're cutting Lulas in half at this point. That's so morbid.
It's just not been finished yet.
Okay,
we're still sewing.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still sewing.
We can live with that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll go 9.5.
Perfect. Yeah, I think I agree with both of you. I thought this is a really great starting point for this series. I think if you had watched the Clone Wars and Rebels, you had loads of stuff to be enthralled by. But even then, those elements don't hinge on you having watched it. If you watched it as a new fan, or maybe just watched the films, you don't need to necessarily have watched the Clone Wars or Rebels to be well, obviously this is emotionally harrowing.
Right.
I thought it was a really great job. I thought the exposition and the script was fantastic. I thought the performances were great. I really like D. Bradley Baker's the different voices he gives for the different clones. I think Crosshair's is fantastic. He did. I think Nicky. I think it was you that shared a video clip that D. Bradley Baker did, which I don't know if you've seen the interviews with him, but it seems like he's trapped in the Tron world.
Yeah, or the quantum realm.
The quantum realm,
yeah.
All these computers. It's he just shrunk down into a computer. Yeah, I thought it was really, really cool. Really great introduction. But if anything, the thing I'm very, very happy and excited about with this show is the exploration of the period. I'm so glad we have a post-episode 3 show, because yes, we've had a lot of comics and books, but to have actual content is you can watch in that time period just feels great. Let's answer some of these final questions. I would give it a 9 out of 10 Lulas, I think.
There you go.
Also,
Clone Watch says
Lula merchandise when? Thank you.
Maybe we should make some.
I want one. I just want to snuggle them as I go to sleep.
We'll see what we can do. I think someone else I think someone made one. I think someone watched a screener and made one. I can't remember. It might have been Jonah Marie, maybe. I don't know. Someone made one.
I need to go find it.
Clone Watch says, what is your opinion on the episode retconning Caleb Doom's Order 66 experience? Don't care.
Yeah. I mean, for me, this is just me. I have a personal preference of how it used to be, where on screen takes seniority. That. This is just me. I'm not gonna speak on the whole canon debate, but for me, I don't care as much, because I think if you're telling a better story in a flagship animated show, to me it matters less what a comic did.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm fine with it. I think it didn't change the ethos of that comic. It didn't change the general story beat of that comic. So to me, it's not a major transgression. And it improves upon how I feel about Rebels and stuff as well.
Yeah, I didn't mind. I mean, I don't mind either. I can understand why avid comic collectors and readers would be upset by it. It's an expensive habit. It's a very time-consuming habit to be into comics. So I can understand when you've invested that much into the comic side of it. I can understand the frustration. I'm not one of those people. So personally, I didn't have an issue. Because at the end of the day, the emotional consequences of the comic, which I read right when it came out, it's been a long time.
It was for season 2 of Rebels, because it tied in with Fen Rao.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So I didn't really personally have an issue, but I can understand what other people do. I totally get it. I think that at the end, though, the comic and this arc consequences are the same. Emotional consequences are the same. So I didn't personally have an issue with it, but that's just me.
Yeah. No,
you're not allowed to be mad.
What's the reports may vary? Was it Han and Greedo walked into a cantina, Han left, reports may vary. Like that.
Yes.
Was it like Pablo Hidalgo, I think, said that? Like
that's so good.
That's sort of like the main point of that, right? Like it didn't in the end change that like outcome of Kanan. So yeah.
And if you look at myths in general, like if you were to like, it would be like going back in time and seeing a Welsh Celt and being like, that's not how King Arthur goes. Like myths and legends change over time. Yeah. And they're, like you say, like the whole point is that Star Wars is a story being told. Like it might not be told in the exact same way.
From a certain point of view.
Yeah, and don't let people say like the comics don't matter, because that's not true either.
Not
like,
true at all.
The comic absolutely matters. Like, don't let people rain on your parade, because I feel like the story still stands. Like, did some details change? Absolutely. But the core emotional crux, which is that Depo Billaba was killed, Kanan ran away, and then had to become Kanan, stays the same. So it's just applying that to your own head. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter at all. Rattle Shark says it was Claire's reaction to Bo-Katan that got me to start watching Clone Wars and Rebels. That's pretty cool.
Hey, that's awesome. I'm glad that crying like a baby on a YouTube video. And I hope that you now understand firsthand a little bit of why Bo-Katan is so special to me and to everybody on this panel. Makes me happy. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if it was your reaction that made him that made Rattle Shark destroy Tokyo as well.
I think we know what Team Rattle Shark stands on in that debate.
There we go.
Well, we'll get into that at some point. Last one, we also have Rattle Shark. Off topic, who would you like to see cast as live action Sabine Wren? Dia Sircar.
Dia Sircar. There we go. If you feel she doesn't look enough like the animated character, we can leave the helmet on.
I feel like that's a phrase that you say a lot, Nicky.
Leave the helmet on.
No, we'll leave that at that.
Well, that is all we have time for this week. Thank you, everyone who has joined in for this first episode of The Bad Betches. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow us at Imp Senate Pod and on Instagram at Imperial Senate Podcast. But where can people find us individually? Nicky, you go first.
Yeah, you can follow me at Naquicious, that's Naquicious on Twitter. And yeah, that's where you can find me there.
Claire?
Heck yeah. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at cstribs. And go catch Castle Run Transmissions. We're launching a whole bunch of new shows over there. First of which came out today. So go check that out. And yep, that's it. How about
Hey,
you,
Nicky,
Charlie?
going to plug your stuff as well before. Do you want to plug one and done?
Oh yeah, if you want to watch or listen to a little commentary podcast, we have the One and Done Film Club, where we debate which one singular movie from any given film franchise we should watch. So yeah, it's a good time. Get to hear a lot of cool discussion on some movies you might like a lot. So yeah, check us out. That's at one the letter N Done Show.
Perfect. And you can find me on Twitter at CMWASHBY. I'm on Instagram at CharlieMWAshby. And you can find my Patreon and stuff like that on my Twitter feed, on my Twitter bio. It's got a link to all that stuff, link tree of everything, including my Patreon, in which I do other shows, including Batman Returned, which is a really great show that I do with my friend Auden, where we talk and discuss and do movie commentaries for Batman movies. We just nearly wrapped up season 2, but we've just finished the core movies for season 2. So we just did The Dark Knight Rises last time. And believe you me, this season has been very good for Michael Caine impressions. If you want to hear two people do ridiculous, if you want to hear two people do Michael Caine, you've got to go and listen to my podcast, Batman Return. I think you can't not the size of a tangerine. Go and watch that, and you can hear us do those voices instead of actually talking about the film for ages. But that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. Oh, we've got one last message from Blue Bank for Milk. Do you know what? It's just for you. I was going for the Daniel Brawl, but the beard's growing out a bit.
There we go.
We'll see what we can do.
There we go.
But yeah, thank you all for watching. We'll be back next time on Sunday. This Sunday. Talk about episode 2. See you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.